Welcome to Speaking of Purpose. I'm your host, Sona Khosla, and I'm the Chief Impact Officer at Benevity. Today, we want to talk about one of the most important ways that people show up for their communities, volunteering. In many ways, volunteering is seen as being reserved for the most noble among us. I remember speaking to Greg Baldwin, the CEO of Volunteer Match, about this. Volunteer Match is an organization that connects volunteers with nonprofits, creating millions of opportunities for giving time and talent. I asked Greg, who is it that volunteers? His answer was Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa. It was a joke, of course, but he had a point. We sometimes think volunteering is only for the selfless givers among us, people who give everything, their whole lives, in service of others. But that's not really what it is, at least not anymore, and definitely not for most of us who lead already busy lives. As we all know too well, the world has changed, and more people are looking to companies to be good social citizens and make a positive impact on the world. This has led to the rise of corporate purpose programs, and employee volunteering is a key ingredient. In the early days of corporate volunteering programs, they often looked like coordinated versions of the ways individuals would volunteer on their own time. Teams could spend a day working with a local nonprofit, come together for an event like a 5-mile charity run, or skilled workers could lend their talent to nonprofits in need of their unique strengths. In some companies, employees have the ability to share volunteer opportunities with their colleagues, bringing people across the company with shared passions to volunteer together, within or outside of work hours. Over the last decade or so, more and more companies have started to encourage this kind of employee engagement by gifting their employee volunteers with monetary grants to the nonprofits they volunteer with, or by providing what are called dollars for doers or volunteer rewards, which can be something like $25 per hour for every hour volunteered, which can then be directed to a nonprofit of the employee's choosing. The benefits to business of employee volunteering were apparent and are well documented in reams of research. When groups of people volunteered together, company culture formed in natural, organic ways that went beyond simply working together to generate profits. People who volunteered through work felt better about their employers, and the companies themselves earned the benefit of a higher profile in their community by becoming known for the positive contributions of their people. Traditionally, volunteering has been thought of as an individual activity, something personal that's separate from your work, something that you physically show up for. A way for you to connect with and support the local causes and organizations you care about, like serving a meal at a shelter or walking dogs for an animal rescue center. But in today's digital-first, time-constrained, we're in this together kind of world, the definition of volunteering is changing. And it was changing even before the COVID-19 pandemic changed, well, everything. Just as COVID taught businesses to pivot quickly in the way they operate, remote work, virtual collaboration, video meetings, and more, it also required quick thinking when it came to corporate volunteering programs. How do you show up in a world where you can't really show up anymore? Enter the rise of virtual volunteering. Virtual volunteering is exactly what it sounds like. It's a more open, more accessible, and frankly, easier form of volunteering. It allows people to support the causes they care about in a less formal way, most often online or through a mobile device. Many companies have been exploring and adding virtual volunteering opportunities for their workforces over the last few years. Things like mapping unmapped regions online, or providing translation services directly to people who need it, or writing letters of support to seniors or the LGBTQ+ community. But mostly, virtual volunteering has been a nice-to-have component of a broader, mostly physical approach to volunteering. Now, take virtual volunteering and combine it with a grassroots movement that broadens the definition of goodness from charitable behavior through a nonprofit to individual acts of kindness. Things like buying a coffee for the person behind you in line or doing the grocery shopping for a neighbor who can't do it themselves. Suddenly, these small acts of kindness and the opportunity to support your community more personally and directly completely changes the landscape of what is possible. We know that volunteering has a positive effect on our communities and our corporate cultures. It also has a profound effect on us as people. In a report from United Health Group, it was shown that the effects of volunteering on physical and mental health are overwhelmingly positive. 94% of people who volunteer report an enriched sense of purpose in their lives. 79% experience less stress. 75% feel physically healthier. And 71% of people who volunteer through work programs feel better about their employer. Today on Speaking of Purpose, we're exploring the changing world of volunteering, how it encourages kindness, helping people get more involved in their communities, connecting people one-to-one, and how volunteering is helping companies create a purpose-driven culture through opportunities for their people to give of themselves in a rewarding and engaging way. Speaking of Purpose is presented by Benevity, a technology and engagement platform that helps the world's most iconic brands bring their purpose to life, based in Calgary, Canada. The sudden onset of COVID-19 in early 2020 caused companies to think and act quickly when it came to both their working arrangements and their opportunities to support those most affected by the pandemic. With little warning, entire workforces were shifting to remote work, leaving employees with limited opportunities to interact with each other, particularly if there wasn't a business reason to connect. This shift in culture and the unknown nature of the pandemic had a profound effect on how companies and employees thought about volunteering. Many of them desperately wanted to contribute to the organizations who were heroically serving their communities, in addition to their regularly planned activities. But when those opportunities were taken away, employees and corporate volunteer coordinators were left wondering how to be of service in a time of great need. Data from Fidelity Charitable suggested that in the early months of the pandemic, around 50% of workers expected their volunteerism to decrease or disappear altogether. And our own research proved that out to be true. Overall, volunteering hours dropped 20% in 2020 compared to 2019, with the most pronounced drop in spring and summer, when physical distancing and travel restrictions were in place across the globe. It's not a surprising statistic. As we touched on before, volunteering has traditionally been a physical activity where people come together in real life. But COVID itself wasn't the only problem. Many nonprofits simply didn't have the infrastructure to accommodate virtual volunteering, which is all the more reason why giving to these organizations was and is so important. While the outlook looked bleak in the middle of 2020, with every problem comes an opportunity. A problem-tunity, if you will. At Benevity, we saw countless companies make a concerted effort to pivot to a reimagined definition of volunteering that includes acts of kindness and community engagement beyond the realm of nonprofits. One example of a company that rose to the challenges COVID-19 posed to volunteering is TELUS, a communications, health, and technology company with over 65,000 employees across the globe. They have always had a deep company-wide culture of volunteering, along with a highly impactful annual volunteer event called TELUS Days of Giving. But when the pandemic hit, they were forced to pause and reevaluate their activities. This is Allison, Fary, who leads TELUS's employee volunteering program.
Just prior to the pandemic hitting, it was in March, and we were right in the thick of planning our TELUS Days of Giving, which is our annual signature volunteer program where we bring the entire TELUS family together, our friends, family, team members, retirees, and it's a chance for us to get together and give back. And as soon as the pandemic hit, everyone went into lockdown. We thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have to cancel this signature program, which is the heart and soul of what we do and is our launch pad for the year. And immediately, within less than a day, everybody started reaching out to us asking, what can we do? How can we help? And we quickly realized we can't cancel this. We need this actually more than ever.
It's a great example of just how important volunteering is to people's well-being and personal sense of purpose, and how intrinsic volunteer programs can be to a company's culture. Volunteer programs give employees that sense of belonging, connection, and impact that so many of us seek in our jobs and lives. Not to mention that happier, healthier employees are more productive and are sick less often. People across Canada know TELUS as a provider of internet, television, and cell services. They provide technology solutions to businesses of all sizes and have built award-winning 5G networks that connect people from coast to coast. But the company is much more than what they do. Their mission is to be the most giving company in the world. They give 5% of their profits back to the communities where they operate and have aggressive environmental targets. They also have a robust volunteering program, led by Allison, who you heard from just a minute ago, and by Stephanie Franco, TELUS's head of corporate giving and volunteerism. Their program reaches their current staff members, along with a highly engaged group of retirees that remain involved in the company's giving efforts. So you can imagine how a growing concern around the pandemic in the spring of 2020 caused them all to wonder, how would they continue to contribute during this uncertain time?
We canceled all of our volunteer activities, and we typically have, 2,000 plus activities. So you can imagine, what was going kind of through us as we're doing this. And we were able to actually create over 200 virtual volunteer opportunities for our TELUS family to give back. And it just came so naturally to the TELUS family. And I think really this is a testament to giving, which is built right into our DNA at TELUS, that everyone was reaching out saying, how can we help? What can we do? I have this idea that, we need to give it to these people. We need to do this. We need to do that. And nobody was caught up in the paralysis of being scared that we were in this lockdown. So it was beautiful to see what we were able to accomplish in such a quick, short time.
Allison and Stephanie say the secret to their success during the pandemic was to embrace the chaos. While COVID prompted some rightful caution around certain activities, it propelled TELUS to innovate and iterate their employee volunteer program. They knew they needed to find a way to continue to spread goodness during one of the most challenging moments of our lifetime. While TELUS's volunteer program already had some virtual elements to it, the pandemic forced their hand to move to 100% remote and virtual volunteering, and quickly. While the tactics behind that innovation are important, Allison says there's one key ingredient that made it all work.
We all thought virtual volunteering would be impossible. And here it's, it opened up so many new doors. And I think the biggest sort of secret was that we changed our communications. And so, but what was really different for us was we shared these very simple everyday giving stories. So it was sharing somebody dropping off groceries to their neighbors, sewing face masks. In fact, our TELUS community ambassadors, they sewed over 150,000 hand-sewn face masks during the pandemic. They came to us saying, we want to do this. This is how we can help. This was when, it was first coming out, there was that shortage of masks. They were just sewing machines. And we had people who've never sewn in their life hearing these inspirational stories, picking up a sewing machine and sewing for the first time. And they're, 400 masks in and continuing it. And I think it's that inspirational stories of just hearing how simple it can be and how easy just one act of giving can be, that all adds up together. So what we did was we shared these stories, but then we included other volunteer opportunities that were similar to them for people to sign up for. So we wanted to take them out of this paralysis of, I want to help. I really have no idea what to do. I've got my family at home. I'm in lockdown. This is overwhelming. I don't know what to do, but I feel like I should be helping. So we made it so simple that you can't help but want to give.
For TELUS, engagement in their volunteer program was all about communicating the possibilities. They focused on sharing inspirational stories of people who were volunteering in new and helpful ways, and then giving them a clear path towards getting involved. Over the course of the last year and a half, Stephanie saw her colleagues embrace virtual volunteering, as well as the small, community-based moments of kindness that help people think about volunteering in completely new ways.
My favorite examples of volunteering or giving back is when somebody finds their passion and is able to use it to give back to the community. And we've got one team member who does baby sign language. It's her passion. And so through the pandemic, she was offering free classes to families in need to be able to utilize her skill and her passion to give back. A couple more of my favorite volunteer opportunities are, for myself, it's growing an extra row of vegetables to be able to give back to our food banks. And, last year we grew so much kale that we not only were able to donate it to the food bank, but all of our neighbors also were receiving, beautiful bunches of kale. And my kids just think it's so great.
Growing and giving away kale definitely isn't the traditional notion of volunteering, especially when it comes to corporate volunteer programs. The folks at TELUS have pushed the boundaries, and this is just the beginning. The truth is, volunteer opportunities can include anything that enriches the community, creates socially impactful connections, and provides help for people who need it. They can include actions that serve neighborhoods and communities without being directly attached to a nonprofit. And they can include any pro-social behaviors that benefit and enrich the lives of others. One such example comes from the folks at SAP, another large global corporation who pivoted during COVID to provide people with opportunities like discussing the pandemic with kids, reading books about anti-racism, or learning a new skill. They also expanded their volunteering program to include a host of virtual activities for their colleagues' children, like guitar lessons and pen and paper game sessions. There's no limit to what volunteering can mean or how it can contribute to positive change. As for TELUS, during one of the most uncertain times in their history, they had the most giving year they've ever had. Over 1.25 million volunteer hours were logged from over 40,000 people in the year that was the pandemic. And while TELUS's volunteer program shifted as a result of a global crisis, Stephanie says the lessons they learned will continue to live on well into the future.
Volunteering is here to stay, and I think we're going to just see that people are looking as we, walk out of this pandemic together. They're looking for that sense of community and that sense of belonging, and opening up what it means to give back is here to stay. I think, what we learned from this global pandemic is that when we give together, we can create remarkable outcomes. And, whether it be time, dollars, or skills, it all counts when we give together. And when I'm, looking at the future, I see a hybrid model in our future that really encompasses virtual volunteering, in-person, and skills-based volunteering, as well as giving time and dollars. I think that the openness of what counts makes sure that everybody can participate in the way that feels right to them.
The positive impact of volunteering is undeniable for people and the places they work. While volunteering decreased during the spring and summer of 2020, it began to recover to normal levels before the end of the year. And that's thanks to virtual volunteering and changing what we think of as volunteering itself. And while the concept of virtual volunteering isn't entirely new, in today's digitally focused world, with our hybrid approach to work and social life, the expectation is growing for companies to offer these open, flexible volunteer opportunities as part of their employee engagement programs. And if they do, the world and their people will be better for it. Thank you for joining us on Speaking of Purpose. We hope this podcast provides you with a spark of inspiration as you hear from leaders about how to harness corporate purpose and turn it into meaningful action to make the world better for more people. Today's episode was created by the passionate team here at Benevity. Special thanks to Allison, Fary, and Stephanie Franco, and the wonderful volunteers at TELUS. Go to TELUS.com, TELUS.com, to read more about their commitment to social impact. To listen to past episodes and get new episodes as soon as they're released, subscribe or follow Speaking of Purpose wherever you get your podcasts. If you liked today's episode, consider sharing it. And if you'd like to learn more about us, go to Benevity.com. Thanks for listening.